I mean, let's face it, we got two old people running for
Mhm.
president, right? The question was, who's going to be able to get out of bed in the morning without 20 people propping you up? You know what I mean? And
Right.
eventually, obviously, in that sense, the strength was based on that. But things that we have to highlight is that these two individuals have been removed from the day-to-day realities of most people. Then neither one of them mentioned. I thought that was also a lost opportunity for President Trump, but he could have mentioned price that people are paying in terms of the current inflation, gas prices, and in supermarket price. Like you can literally say people are making more money, but if the cost of everything is still very high, you essentially in the same place or worse, depending on how high some things happens to be. I think it was a missed opportunity. Like he could have said,
Mhm.
there was no way getting around that. There was no way. If you make a statement like that, when you're making the argument to say, listen, a lot of people right now going to the supermarket are complaining about the fact that what used to be a $70 bag now is a $200 bag, right? You can't get around that, Joe. You can get. It's like he could have gone into some of that, right?
Mhm.
President Biden just say whatever he wanted to say about the economy. There was almost nothing factual about it. As a matter of fact, based on the fact checking that they're doing for both of them, I mean, that's one of the areas where almost 95% of what he said was a lie. Was not correct. Was inaccurate. Wars. This was an important. A lot of the Jewish community, a very large part of the Jewish community votes Democrat.
Mhm.
This was a time where he could have, looked at Joe Biden and saying, "What you're doing right now is not what a friend of Israel will do. This is not something that we never done something like this as a country, withholding weapons and trying to force their hand to do certain things at the level. But it's not that there hasn't been influence. There's always influence, you know what I mean? But not at
Mhm.
the level that this was describing right now. So he's saying that could have been a great opportunity. Also reminding everybody there was no wars, and it was detrimental for President Biden to say no one has died under my administration when there is the picture of those 13 soldiers coming back home,
Mhm. Oh my God.
precisely because they died under his watch. The final point for me is the criminal component. You know what I mean? The fact that a lot of the crimes and a lot of the things that have been taking place, especially, there's an incredible unrest throughout the country financially. And there's the issue of every criminal action that has been taking place from illegal immigrants. I mean, the fact that even President Biden brought it up, I told her he was gonna. Yeah, yeah. I don't even know. I think it was part of just being confused at that point, and he ended up bringing up something without mentioning any names, without mentioning any locations. You know what I mean? I think that was also an opportunity for both to be very detailed. Like there's certain areas when even President Trump could have been just a little detail, a little more sharper. Again, you're dealing with guys that are a little older. One is in better shape than the other, but again, two guys that were even struggling to say certain names or talk about certain locations, or who was the one who died when, based on stuff that happened with the border.
So
So
who do you think is gonna? Because every like I'm talking about again, even the party. Because you're mentioning media. I see some people in the Democratic Party that are saying we're done. Like that's it. It's like we gotta find a replacement. So who do you think would be? Because Newsom right now, I really this guy. I don't understand. He he comes in and he's like, no, we gotta have Joe's back. Like, it's like the best flag carrier anybody can have. So
he's
it's
looking
like,
great. He's looking like a guy who is loyal, who's looking like a guy who is no matter what is not going to say anything
so
negative
is
about.
that gonna be the
Will that be
is
the
that gonna be
reason?
the guy
Well,
that replaces?
so there's a multiple set of scenarios, potential scenarios that we got to consider. One of them is you got to start with the issue of Kamala Harris. What do you do with the current vice president who normally will have the expectation of becoming the next person running for president? What do you do also with somebody who is, an African American, obviously checks multiple boxes when it comes to being a woman, being a
Mhm.
minority, there's a number of things that how do you maneuver the idea that it's not going to be you, we're going to put another white guy, to absolutely do that. They're gonna have to handle it. A way of doing that is you step down now. You let her become president, and then they get to name the vice president. So in that sense, if you're naming a very strong vice president, what everybody's saying is hopefully that person is going to be running the country. No different than what was going on with Dick Cheney. You know, it's like when everybody looked at George W. Bush, everybody was saying, hopefully the other guy who has experience is going to be the one running the country. This would be one of those potential scenarios. You know what I mean? The final thing is, you know, they can almost force the hand of Michelle Obama. And because they keep saying that she hates politics, but I think she will do very well. Now you have two female African Americans, and that, I don't know, that's a very difficult ticket. Forget it. We can't waste any time with Biden. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
that was very strong to see. Unless you see in any other scenario, I think that those are the potential scenarios that.
No, all three of those scenarios give me a headache and a
Yeah,
stomach
one
ache.
is worse. One is worse than the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Newsom,
yeah.
Newsom looks the part. He's an incredible debater. The guy is probably one of the sleaziest, yeah, you know, politicians out there. The guy is slimy, like I think the most of the people already called him that 1,000 times. The state of California is a disaster right now. So when you
Yep.
think about, is that what the country is going to look like? Because it looks like we're already heading on that direction without your help. You're just going to put the nail on the coffin. You know, so
Right.
that's a big situation. Listen, the media right now, we just had a Christian awakening. You can't just wake up and pretend that it's the first time you're seeing it happening. This is, everybody has been sounding the alarm
But
for a long
no,
time.
that's
But
exactly
the
what
fact
you're
that
doing.
all of it, like out of the blue, decided to have a moment, like it was like an epiphany. It was like, oh my God, look what just happened.